715-0403, and we'll get your thoughts of it. I'd also, when you call, I'd like you to think of two things. Number one, give me a reason why the Browns are going to be extremely successful. That means win and get into the playoffs and go deep in the playoffs, or why they won't. So what is your concern? What will be the reason they make it? What will be the reason they don't make it? 216-575-0403 is the number to call. The Indians' loser today, Reynello Lopez, tosses a one-hitter against the Indians for the Chicago-White-Sox. Plawecki with the double in the second inning to drive in a run. That was the only hit of the game for the Indians. The White Sox 7 runs, 12 hits, no errors. Plesac got the loss today, 7-6 now. Lopez, up until now, not doing very well. He's now 9-12 on the season. The Indians 1 run, 1 hit, and no errors. They didn't hit the ball hard at all today, and it's too bad. You would think that the team that lost last night's tough game, you would think that's the team that would come out unready to play the game, but the Indians look like they'd rather be somewhere else. Well, they will be somewhere else. They'll be in Minnesota tonight, and they'll start a 3-game series tomorrow. What about the play? You know, Mercado is a frustrating guy. He throws to the wrong base sometimes. He's not a good base runner. Takes a strange arc to the ball sometimes on fly balls. And then last night came up with one of the best catches you're ever going to see in a clutch position. The Indians and White Sox in the bottom of the 8th inning, and in the top of the 8th inning, or top of the 9th inning rather. And Mercado just took the proper arc to the ball and made a phenomenal diving catch. If he doesn't make it, it's a triple or an inside-the-park home run with the bases loaded, but he made the catch, and then the Indians went on to win. But it wasn't there today at all. 18,000 people on hand at Progressive Field. 216-575-0403 is the number. So now it's on to the Minnesota Twins, and we'll take a look at the pitching matchups and see how that shapes up for the weekend. You've got Friday night, Plutko versus Michael Pineda. Pineda now 11-5. Plutko at 6-4. Aaron Savali goes on Saturday. That's a night game, and that'll be Jake Odorizzi, who will go for Minnesota. He's at 14-6 on the season. Savali 3-3, and then Mike Clevenger goes in, one of the hottest pitchers in baseball, and he'll go against the left-hander undecided. Maybe it's the right-hander. Maybe they're not decided at all whether the guy's right-handed or left-handed. So it seems to me, as I mentioned in the open, that finally the injury to Jose Ramirez and Tyler Naquin to some extent, and the faltering of the pitching staff, which, by the way, most of the year the bullpen carried the Indians. Well, now you can see they've carried them too long, and they're worn out. They're not. Believe it or not, they're not getting calls either. I'm not just making that as an excuse. It just seems that when a team's pitching staff is struggling, the umpires don't give them any help. And that was the case last night. And by the way, you would think that umpire, the AAA umpire who was there, he probably should have thrown Francona out for what Terry was saying to him. But my guess is, and there's no confirmation on this, my guess is that Francona said, look, if you throw me out, I'm going to make sure that you get graded on every pitch you called, and you won't do very good on the grade. And my guess is the umpire either said, okay, I'll take my chances, or he could have stood pat or stood strong and thrown Francona out. But my guess is he got intimidated by the Indians manager, who is, people complain about him when things go wrong. I wouldn't want any other manager in Cleveland at this time in history. Had a chance to talk to some people today at the ballpark about the Indians, and my guess is that, and you can come back to me in a couple of months and say I was wrong. My guess is that they will pick up the option on Kluber. It's a club option, and it's around $17 million. Just the feeling I got in talking to these members of the front office, that's apparently what at this point that's the way the Indians are leaning. As far as Kipnis is concerned, they might make him a small offer. He's making around $13 million right now. He's not worth $13 million a year as a second baseman. But if nobody else wants him at that dollar figure, and I'm not sure that he's going to get it from anybody, if you start lowering the price, it's interesting because let's say the number that the Indians might be okay with and that he might be okay with, Let's say it's $6 million. It's interesting that baseball players look at that $6 million. If the offer comes from another team, it's a good offer to that player. If it comes from the same team he's been playing for and going around 12, 13 million, it's an insult to the player. So we'll see how that plays out. My guess is the Indians will offer him something, but it's not going to be anywhere near that $18 million figure that is right there right now. And also the days of the big contracts, the 8 to 10 year contracts, Bryce Harper, that kind of a deal, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I just don't think you're going to see it. 216-575-0403 is the number to call if you want to get in. Again, the Indians must win all 3 games. Even if they win 2 out of 3, they only gain a game. And again, depending on what happens at Fenway Park tonight, the Indians either down 5.5 or 6.5 to the Minnesota Twins before they get going with that series in Minnesota. Did you know, with the Ohio Lottery, did you know that there are over 130,000 winners on Ohio Lottery pick games each and every month? With that amount of winning, try pick 3, pick 4, or pick 5 for chances to win up to $500, $5,000, and $50,000 twice a day from the Ohio Lottery. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine, with new content posted each and every day. And as you know, we post your name and in many cases your picture, and we spark the conversation on what's going on in Cleveland area sports. Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. This portion of More Sports and Les Levine was brought to you by the Ohio Lottery. Back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Well, I think everybody, everywhere I've ever been, this is no exception, where you have a number of people that are involved in the game planning process. You use the expertise of the coaches that you have. Very rarely do you have a staff where, I don't think you want to have a staff where you have individual coaches that don't have input into certain areas. So we divide up areas as a staff, and then we go into the room and decide, you know, we break apart, and there's run part, protection part, there's some of the pass, you know, game that you're talking about, but everybody has different roles in that. But, you know, it's everybody's job and role to be a big part of our game planning and what we see, and because, in my opinion, not one person can see it all. So and then how everybody fits that together.
Baker particularly vocal.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that part of it. No, Baker's a big part of it, and Drew Stanton is as well, being a part of this system in Arizona. He's a big help in that part of it and sees things as most guys that have played as long as he has, and he's really smart. He adds a lot to what we do on a weekly basis.
I'm sure you're prepared for them to
So there's Todd-Monken. That's Todd-Monken. This is Dan Labbe of Cleveland Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. All right, you weaved your way through traffic. That would have been a great 89-yard run.
Yeah, it was like that Nick Chubb 92-yard run last year.
Right. Well, thank you for making an effort, a great effort to get here. You got to play through pain sometimes.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. All right, before we get into what Todd-Monken said, which I thought was interesting, if anybody thought that that Freddie Kitchens alone will be the head of the offense, he's trying to shape it up that that's not quite the case. So we'll get that in a minute. The Browns put Odell Beckham on the injury report. That doesn't mean he's out of the game. Tell me what it means. Tell me how that all, what the procedures are.
It's basically their way of just not getting in trouble. They're required to release an injury report. You can debate whether that's a competitive thing or a gambling thing, but they're required to release an injury report. And Odell Beckham was not on it. He had been held out of camp and some drills in camp with a hip injury. He spoke about it today. He was very open about it. And so the Browns, I think, kind of realized, you know what, we should probably put this guy on the injury report so we don't get into any trouble with the league.
All right, why hasn't that leaked out before? I mean, we knew he wasn't practicing in many cases, but this is a key guy to this offense. You would think if there was a problem, you'd think somebody would get it out there.
Well, we did know there was a hip injury. We didn't know how severe. We didn't know if it was the injury that was holding him out or just protecting him that was keeping it out of preseason games and team drills. So it wasn't anything that was really considered very serious. And I don't know if I'd consider it serious now. We just don't know what it is at this point. I think the concern moving forward is it going to get better at playing every Sunday or Monday night or whatever it is?
Well, here's my concern. My concern is one of the raps against him was the fact that he got injured or missed a lot of games. And you can't have your offense based on a guy if you don't know you can't trust that he's going to be there on almost every week.
Yeah, I mean, that was really the big criticism of him. Probably the biggest thing is the injuries. He hasn't played a lot over the last couple years. He's had a number of injuries, and this team brought him in to be the focal point of their offense, like you said. So if for some reason you don't have him, it's going to change things.
Is this a game time decision, or at 11 o'clock when the teams come out and start warming up, are we going to see him then and announce it then, or is that a game time decision?
He'll play. The key distinction is he was listed as a full participant. So unless something were to happen between now and Sunday, if it were more serious than maybe we thought, he's going to play. I don't think there's any reason to think that he won't play, and I don't think there's any reason to think that he won't play the remainder of the season because of this injury.
Right.
That would probably be something else.
All right, let me throw this out. My guess is that what you just posed here is you said the reason for doing it is twofold. Either it's for gambling purposes or it's for a competitive situation. My guess it's the gambling thing.
Yeah, the NFL's injury report is a strange thing. I think they want to say it's for competitive reasons, but the reality is, there's people with a lot of money on the line that want to know, is the guy healthy? Is he practicing? Is he probable? What's his status going to be?
And it's going to be more now that you just saw a commercial for Presque Isle where you can bet on you can bet on anything there, I think. And you're going to see and hear more of that, and things are going to change. Not drastically, not immediately, but it's going to change a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the NFL, I'm curious to see how they embrace it. I think the NBA has sort of embraced it, legalized gambling a little more than the NFL has.
Well, they embrace it by going to the bank.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. The NFL knows how to make money, and they know a lot of people gamble on their games every week. I think we'll start to see them embrace it more and more.
216-575-0403. Dan Labbe does a great job covering the Cleveland Browns with cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. So finally, it's here. We've talked about it. It's been 7-8 months since you talk about getting ready. The season ends, and you get ready for the draft, and then you have the OTAs, and you have who knows what you have. And now finally, we're going to see football, and we're going to see football from a team that has only won one opening game in Cleveland since 1999. That to me is an incredible statement. You'd think just by showing up, in a home game, you should win.
That you'd back into one of these, and I guess they tried to last year, but they ended up tying. What was Jeff Garcia? I think was the last quarterback to win an opener. So I think they have a perfect opener against the Titans. The Titans are a good team. They're a physical team, but they're also a beatable team.
Right.
So this is a good.
And they're missing some people.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good opening week test for the Browns, I think.
All right, it gets tougher early in the season. And you go to the Jets, then the Rams back home. My concern is because on doing this show and doing 92.3 The Fan and anything else wherever I go, I have not heard any credible person say anything less than 8-8 or 9-7. That's the worst it is. You start out 0-1 all of a sudden, then you start looking ahead playing the schedule game, and even though it's no different than if you won game one, it's going to be hard for a lot of people to take.
Yeah, and I think, the Browns themselves have done so much talking, the players have done so much talking, and then the hype is so real that if this team comes out and loses, I think there will be some mini panic. But the way I've kind of looked at it is, if you can go 5-3 or 4-4 through those first 8,
it's a good start.
The second half of the schedule really kind of sets up nicely for you. You've got some teams that you can beat there, and you can get to 9-7 or even 10-6 if you can just survive that first half.
Yeah, and the other thing, if you say 10-6, that means you're going to lose 6 games.
Yeah.
You're not going undefeated, I can tell you that.
And you're going to lose games that you shouldn't lose. You're going to, you know what? You might win some games you shouldn't win.
All right, I posed a question before you got here, and that is, I wanted the audience to give me a reason why the Browns will do very, very well. I'm not saying win the Super Bowl, but when it's all said and done, say that was a great season. I want people to tell me why they would, in 3-4 months, if we can say, well, they had a great season because, or the opposite, they had a bad season or things went bad because. So I'll start with you. What needs to happen to make it be a happy season for everybody?
They had a good season because they made the playoffs.
Okay.
I think that with the way that they've talked and kind of the expectations for this team, I think making the playoffs should probably be the baseline for this team. I suppose there's a scenario where they could go 10-6 and miss the playoffs like they did in 2007, but I think this team needs to make the playoffs to call this a successful year.
Let me throw a little asterisk by here. If you have 10-6 season and you make it to the playoffs, or you have a 10-6 and you don't make it, you didn't make it not because of anything the Browns did, because this team went head-to-head against another team that maybe the Browns haven't seen during the schedule. So if they go 10-6, that's what they have control of. If they go 10-6 and go to the playoffs or don't go to it, that's something they can't control.
Yeah,
just go win another game.
Yeah, there's a little nuance there, I guess. Yeah. But I think if you kind of look back on it and say, just hearkening back to 2007, I believe it was Cincinnati. They had a winnable game there, and they didn't get it done.
Right.
If we end up looking back and saying this team had 2 or 3 games they should have won, and they didn't get it done because they turned the ball over a bunch, or the coaches made a bunch of mistakes, whatever it was, that's when it becomes a disappointment, I think.
Are you concerned about clock management situations because Freddie hasn't done it before? Or are you concerned about anything that has to do with a new head coach, who, by the way, has some experience coaching on the same staff?
Yeah, I think that's always going to be a concern until you actually see someone do it. And he'll probably have somebody in the booth who's going to help him with challenges, help him with clock management. But ultimately,
I'm very good at it.
Hopefully, because coaches say they have that guy, but that doesn't mean that they don't screw it up. So we'll see it when we believe it. That's the thing with Freddie Kitchens.
The other thing is, if you talk to fans around the country, almost all of the fans of all of the teams say the same thing. They mess up the 2-minute drill. They clock management is terrible. That seems to be a united front throughout the NFL.
I think that's one of those weird things where you're sitting and watching on TV, and you could say, well, you've got to call a timeout there.
Yeah.
It's so easy
in
real time to say this
doing?
Is what you're supposed to do. And there's probably some analytics or data or something that's saying why you're wrong. But I think that's why fans really kind of harp on that so much.
This is Les Levine for Northeast Factory Direct. I've been telling you about them for quite some time now. They got 3 locations, as you see right there. But I want to remind you of what a great story this local business has become. 20 years ago, Alex started the company out of his small garage in Lakewood. He sold 1 single dining room set. He had no overhead costs, and he figured, you know what? That's a good way to sell stuff. Sell it cheap because you don't have any overhead. And he realized what a great business model this was, and eventually word spread about this incredible prices, and he had to pack up and move into a single storage unit. He added all kinds of different furniture, and before you know it, Northeast Factory Direct was born, and that was over 20 years ago in the business, and they started it in a garage. And they're going to have a garage sale event all September long. It's not a normal sale. It's more of a celebration. They're going to be putting out special pricing on many items, even lower than the already low prices at Lakeland Boulevard. That's in Euclid, also West 140th in Cleveland. And Freeway Drive, that's the new one. That's in Macedonia, or northeastfactorydirect.com. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. You got it live with the post time of 6 p.m. each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And of course, they're open earlier at noon all day or every day for the live simulcast action all over the world. And that's at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking each and every day. Dan Labbe and I return in a moment. We'll take a look at what Mike-Priefer has to say. He, of course, is the special teams coach, and that's going to be an important part of the Cleveland Browns this year. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Given Jamie's limited experience kicking, what potential does he have as a punter?
That's why he made this football team. I think the safe bet would have been going with Britton. You know, he's more consistent. He's been around a long time. I think it would have been very difficult to let a guy like Jamie out of the building. He's so talented, got such a big leg swing. The sky's the limit for him. I mean, I think he's just scratching the surface on how well he can be, or how good he can be, and how good of a punter and holder he can be in this league. I just think he's so talented that, you know, we just got to make sure we channel that energy and talent and hopefully get as many consistent punts as we possibly can.
Did you guys get feelers that teams were just waiting to pounce on him?
You know, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. You'd have to talk to, to John and to Elliott and the personnel guys. I don't pay attention to that. I mean, the special teams coordinators on other teams mentioned to me, wow, this guy's really good. I mean, where'd you find him and that type of thing? I said, I didn't find him. I went down and worked him out because I was told to. Who wants to go to Arkansas Pine Bluff, right? But no, actually, it was a nice area. It's really nice down there. I had a good time. Coaching staff was great. They were really good to me. And Jamie had a bunch of players out there, all his ex-teammates out there watching him punt and making fun of him and making fun of the way he throws the ball. He can spin it with a rugby throw, but he can't throw it overhand very well. But we're working on that so we can run some fakes down the line.
All right, so he's not, if the NFL ever gets a team in Arkansas, he won't be the candidate.
Yeah, I guess he's not going to take a job there.
All right, help me out on this, because he may be a great kicker. He hasn't done it yet, and he may be great. But you also have a new place kicker, and now you have between your long snapper and your holder and your kicker, it's a lot of stuff going on. People just take it for granted. They don't seem to be worried about it. They got to be.
Yeah, they have to be.
Thank you.
Right? There's no way you couldn't be, because you haven't seen this guy hold in a real game. Your only experienced piece of that whole operation is your long snapper, Charlie Hewlett. I think the money quote there was him saying the safe bet would have been Britton Colquitt. I think that's kind of admitting. We talked about gambling earlier. They're kind of gambling on this punter situation. They think there's a lot of upside there with Jamie Galland, but I think there's going to be some growing pains too.
Yeah, it worries me because that's such an important part of the game.
Yeah.
And you're leaving it up to people who haven't done it before. And you would think that Colquitt would be the steadying force. I mean, I don't know how many Pro Bowls, but he's won a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And I don't recall him shanking one at a key moment. I don't recall him fumbling a snap. I think you're going to have that somewhere along. It may be unfair for me to say this at this point, but I think it's something I'd be concerned about.
I mean, I think it's a fair concern. The holding aspect of it is a big piece of it. But also, the thing Colquitt did really well was he could pin the ball inside the 5.
Right.
He always seemed to be really good at that.
Didn't seem to overkick coverage.
Yeah, exactly. Can Galland do that on a regular basis? If he's kicking from the 50-yard line, can he pin the ball inside the 5 like Colquitt could? These are things we don't know yet, and it's a big risk.
Speaking of not knowing, I should probably turn this into a how come quickie sometime, but how come you got now when I was growing up, first learning about football, when there was a punt, you'd have 2 men in receiving motion.
Yeah.
And one guy would either yell, "Hey, it's coming to the left," or whatever, and they would block for the guy instead of chasing the gunners all the way down. I'd rather have my guy go down 20 yards and meet the gunner.
Yeah, right.
But why do punters now it's one single safety guy. Why do punters kick it right down the middle of the field? They should be good enough not to worry about shanking the ball. And is that the reason, or is it for coverage reasons?
I think some of it is coverage. And, the thing is on kickoffs, they talk so much about directional kicking.
Right.
We're going to kick it to this side or that side. And you're right. Sometimes when a guy punts, it ends up right in the middle of the field, and the guy has a lot of room to make a return. You think you would want that down the sideline.
And he has good odds of catching it. If he has to run sideline to sideline, there's going to be a fumble or a muff somewhere along the line.
And he's got to pay attention to where he is. He's got guys coming down. I think some of it is just I think you can place a punt. We've seen it all the time with the coffin corners inside the 5, but maybe sometimes it's a little harder if you're trying to get some power behind it.
Yeah, and you think with the 20-yard line, or they bring it out to the 25 or whatever they do, you'd think you don't even have to boom that ball. Just punch it in, and you're going to get good field position.
Yeah, you would think that.
Yeah.
But
so tell me who your return man is going to be now.
Well, right now I think it's going to be either Dontrell Hilliard or Dearness Johnson, at least on kickoffs. But Odell Beckham's going to get a shot on punt returns.
Really?
Now, obviously, there's this hip injury. Maybe they want to protect that a little bit. But he's not going to be the primary punt returner. But in the fourth quarter, if they need a big return, you might see Odell Beckham go out there. If they just need somebody to catch the ball, you might see Jarvis Landry go out there. But right now, I think it's going to be Dontrell Hilliard and then Dearness Johnson.
Tell me why. Well, I'll come to that. Braxton Miller, before we take a break, why didn't he make the squad?
I just don't think they saw enough of him. I think they liked, they went out and made this trade for Taywan Taylor. I think they liked his versatility to play inside and outside a little bit. And I just don't know that they saw enough of Braxton. I was a little surprised, considering how late they brought him in. I thought maybe they did that because they wanted to keep him around.
Seemed to do everything they asked him.
Yeah, I just, I honestly don't know what it was that kept him off the team, other than maybe there were a couple other guys that became available that they liked.
I've never understood how you get a guy who plays every week for several years in front of 100,000 people, his picture's on the cover of everything, and they don't think he could even make the 53rd man on the squad.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that really surprised me. I thought he was going to make it. They just must not have seen enough.
Pharaoh Brown, who, if he does play this week, will be the first Brush High grad to ever play for the Cleveland Browns. They've had a couple of former pro players, but this would be the first one. Is he going to stick, or are they still is the roster set for this week?
He's going to stick for this week, but he's going to have to make his case if he gets an opportunity to suit up, because they've got a guy, Enrico Gathers, who's suspended this week, but he comes off suspension in week 2. He's a tight end. You start playing that numbers game. Maybe if somebody gets banged up or can't go in week 2, maybe they need to make a roster move. And so Pharaoh Brown's going to have to go out and make some catches, which is something he struggled with a little bit in camp and in the preseason.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dan Labbe of the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com is with us. You can explore your interest in future. Find a program at Tri-C that puts you on the path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c-edu to find out more about the education you can receive at Tri-C. Hey, big news coming up. The Hall of Fame, Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame, opening up its doors to 6 new members. It'll be at dinner is actually at 7:30, but from 6 until 7 that night at Landerheavy, we will be doing this show, More Sports and Les-levine, and we'll interview each and every one of the 6 members who are going into the Hall of Fame. For ticket information, the tickets are going fast, I'm told. 216-241-1919 is the number, or go to admin@clevelandsportshall.com. And again, that'll be, the ceremonies will start at 7:30, but during the cocktail hour, we will be there from 6 until 7, broadcasting live right here on cleveland.com. Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. Dan Labbe is with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Very talented. When you look at their strengths, it definitely comes at the running back position. All right, with Henry as well as Lewis, I think they're very talented at the tight end position. You talk about Walker, who's a dynamic, what I consider really as a receiver, and then Smith in the run game, as well as his ability to be able to stretch the field. So I think those tight ends are excellent. And Mariota, to me, does a good job of really managing the game. They want to try to run first and create that play action. We know that. We got to do a great job of stopping this run game. Henry's a big physical back that loves to play downhill. He's going to try to test the perimeter of the defense. We got to do a great job of setting edges and turning the back inside.
That's Steve Wilks, who's the defensive coordinator for the Browns. I like that guy. I haven't met him, but just when I listen to him and watch him in action, he looks like the kind of guy who knows what the heck he's doing out there.
Yeah, and you could tell he's really sharp, really smart. He was a head coach in Arizona for a year.
Right.
I think he's certainly got a chance to be a head coach again, especially if this defense is really good.
So how good is the defense?
It's going to be as good as that front four makes it. If those guys get to the quarterback like they're supposed to, and like they did against Tampa in that one series that they all four played together, then it makes the rest of the defense better.
You talked about the four. How many do you see rotating in? You're looking at 6 or 7?
Yeah, I think we'll see a little bit of Devereaux Lawrence, who was really good in the preseason. Daniel Aquale is a guy that Steve Wilks had high praise for today inside. On the outside, you have Chris Smith. He's going to play. Jannard Avery is definitely going to play. So there's bodies out there, but it's really going to be about those big four guys.
I'm reading lists that guys are making up nationally, and when they're asking defensive MVP, and I'm seeing a lot of Myles Garrett. Will his stats be down because the rest of the unit is so good and they may be double teaming him and other guys are doing things or causing the offense to do something? Is that something that, not that it's a problem, but do you expect that to happen?
It could happen, but I think Myles is so poised to have a breakout year, and he's just so good that if he wants to get to the quarterback, he can a lot of times. I think he can have a huge year. It's a little bit like Aaron Donald with the Rams. Teams focus on him, and he still dominates the game. That's what Myles Garrett wants to be, and if he's able to get there, he is going to challenge for Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, so the defense with Myles Garrett, do you think that the double teaming is going to hurt him stat-wise, or he'll overcome it?
I don't think it will. I think he'll be able to overcome it. And, again, the nice thing is they sort of built this where, okay, you're going to double Myles Garrett. Here comes Olivier Vernon. Here comes Sheldon Richardson. Here comes Larry Ogunjobi. So that might even actually, so now they have to shift their coverage back to those guys, and now maybe Myles Garrett gets freed up again. So I think I think he had, 13.5 sacks last year?
I think so,
I think he'll be able to get above that this year.
All right, so I'll ask you the question. where we talked about at the beginning what has to happen to be good, what has to happen to be bad. What does this defense have to do to make things happen?
Aside from getting after the quarterback, I think forcing turnovers. They forced a ton of turnovers, especially early last year. Unfortunately, they weren't able to take advantage of some of those high turnover games. Turnovers can be a little fickle year to year. Sometimes you force a lot, sometimes you don't. But I think this defense will be able to force a high number again. And if they're able to do that, they're going to be really good.
All right. In addition to the sack stats and all that stuff, do you expect enough pressure being put on from other areas to make it almost as good as a sack?
I think so, yeah. And this secondary is really solid. They're going to be able to cover. I mean, we're going to see some coverage sacks, I think. Denzel Ward's going to be able to cover on the outside. Terrence Mitchell is a guy that can cover a little bit too. Hopefully you see Greedy Williams in that spot eventually. But I think there's going to be some times when the coverage is really good, and that gives that front four, if they are blocked up, it gives them time to get after the quarterback.
What's better, the defense or the offense?
I'm going to say, oh boy, that's a good question. I'm going to say the defense right now. I think the defense is probably ahead. I think the offense, by the end of the year, we might be saying they're better.
Right.
But they're also not whole yet. Antonio Callaway's not there. They're still trying to figure some things out. I think the defense, because of, again, keep saying it, because of that front four, I think that defense might be really, really good.
Okay. Are they okay without, do they have enough depth at the running back position at this point?
I think they do, because Chubb is kind of built to be a bell cow back. He's built to carry the ball 20 or 25 times. I don't know that he'll ever get that many carries, but if they want to, I think he can do that. Dontrell Hilliard's a question mark. He's never carried the ball in a real NFL game, so we'll see. But I think Nick Chubb is a guy that's built to be able to carry that rushing load.
When you talk to Baker Mayfield, what do you see? What do you hear different and see different this year than you did 6 months ago?
I don't know if there is a big difference, and I think that's a good thing, because he's just such a confident guy, and you see that now. I guess if I had to pick out one thing, it's just you can tell this is his football team now, and he's very comfortable. He's always been comfortable in his own skin, but now he knows this is his football team. He's not being deferential to anyone. He knows that he's the guy at quarterback, and he sounds like it.
And, I don't think this got enough play when it happened, but this guy has so much confidence that he was able to go into that meeting last year imitating John Dorsey. I mean, that takes guts to do, and it could have gone bad on him, but it didn't. It got the players behind him, and it became very effective, and that's what he does.
Yeah, and he stayed in that outfit when he came out for a press conference, and part of that is John Dorsey's personality. He loves that. I was talking to somebody yesterday who said that John Dorsey kind of sees the whole building as a big locker room. That's kind of what he tries to cultivate.
The frat house.
Everybody's one of the guys, and I think that allows Baker to do that. But you're right. The fact that he was willing to do that, wasn't even the starting quarterback yet, it says a lot about him.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Northeast. This segment brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct, with 3 great locations, east, west, and south. And they're celebrating 20 years in the business. It started in a garage, so they're going to have a garage sale event all September long. It's not a normal sale. It's more of a celebration, and they're putting out special pricing on many items, even lower than the already low prices. It's not a garage sale with used junk they're trying to get rid of. It's the same high-quality stuff that they always have, except for one thing, lower prices. Go check it out. All locations, all month long. This weekend, if you want to have a lot of fun, you got some extra special stuff planned at the old B&B Appliance Store. That's on Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid. But for more information, go to northeastfactory.com and find out about this 20-year celebration of northeastfactory.com. Sokolowski University Inn, they beat that. They've been going at it since 1923. You do the math on that. It's Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant, located in Tremont, 5 minutes out of downtown. Take the Abbey Avenue exit, swing under the bridge, and that's where you're going to find the best view in town. The restaurant that won the James Beard Foundation Award 4 years ago. And they're open 11 to 3, Monday through Friday for lunch, and Friday and Saturday nights for dinner, beginning at 4 o'clock. Dan Labbe and I return in a moment. More Sports and Les-levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Birthdays for the day, Napoleon Lajoie. The Indians were named the Naps for quite some time based on him. Warren Lara was a terrific defensive back for the Browns and actually was the first color commentator on the Browns' local television broadcast. Bill Mazeroski hit the big home run to beat the Yankees. Read a book from 1947. Colt McCoy, this is kind of a Cleveland day. Colt McCoy, or former Cleveland day, and Austin Corbett. Born in 1995. I want to talk about that offensive line in a moment. I want to tell you about this date in sports history. September 5th, 1994, San Francisco's Jerry Rice catches a pair of touchdown passes and also runs in a 23-yard reverse, and he becomes the NFL's leading all-time touchdown maker with a total of 127. That's a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, it is. It's unbelievable.
In my backyard, I didn't get that many. Let's take a look at a how come quickie. How come there's a quarterback, a halfback, and a fullback, but there's no come on back?
Isn't that the yellow laundry that they throw on the field?
Yeah, come on back. That play's over. We're going to try it again.
Yeah.
No question about that. 216-575-0403. In the next segment, of course, we'll look at your how come quickies. A couple of good ones. Still got some time to come in and beat them, but that comes your way in the next segment. Dan Labbe is here from cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. How has your job changed now once training camp open and you're into the daily routine, although it's not daily because you got games on Monday and then Thursday and Sunday and who knows when, but as normal as can be, how different is it? And is this the part of the job you like the best, or is it once the game is over and you're dissecting it?
I think being in season is the part that is the most fun. Now, I love the games. The games are great, and covering a game, and especially when there's a win or a great story out of a game, that's probably the best. But now we've got open locker room every day, so if there's a story you want to chase or if there's a guy you want to talk to about something, you can kind of pursue those stories a little more easily if guys want to come in the locker room. But I think this is when the job gets really fun because you're covering football now.
What's the biggest story of this year so far?
I think the biggest story of this year, and honestly it's going to be the story all year, is going to be Odell Beckham, Baker Mayfield, and then Jarvis Landry. Just how those three kind of work together and play together. And really, it's all about Baker and Odell and how those two connect.
You see what's going on in Oakland with Antonio Brown. Any sense that something can happen with the Browns? Maybe not to that extent, but is it something for them to be concerned about?
I don't think so. I think Odell and Antonio Brown are different guys, kind of in different spots of their career too. I think Antonio Brown is 31 years old. Odell is a little younger. And I think he's going to end up being really happy here with the quarterback that he has and in the situation he has. He had some issues here and there with New York, but there were signs with Antonio Brown that things were starting to go awry. When he was angry, he didn't get voted team MVP, things like that. I don't see that sort of thing in Odell's personality.
I think when you're not winning, you find other things to complain about. How many wins do you have them?
I've got 10. I said 10-6 a little earlier would be a good season, and that's about where I've got them as 10.
AFC North Championship?
I keep going back and forth between them winning it with 10 or Pittsburgh winning it with 11. The Antonio Brown thing is interesting because maybe getting him out of there is going to make Pittsburgh better. So I'm curious to see what that does. But I think it's going to be either the Browns at 10 or the Steelers at 11 wins.
Right. By week 5, will Freddie Kitchens still be calling plays?
I think he will. I think he's really dead set right now on being the play caller, and he's said it over and over and over again that he is the play caller, and I don't think he's going to give that up easily.
Are you surprised that John, in the contract negotiations, of what there was of contract negotiations, do you think that that was a sticking point, or do you think that John Dorsey gave that up early on and knew that's what he had to do?
I don't think it was, because John Dorsey, came from Kansas City where he had Andy Reid who called plays, and he kept saying over and over again, one of the things about Freddie Kitchens he loved was in the 4th preseason game. For whatever that's worth, John Dorsey kept pointing to the 4th preseason game last year when Kitchens called plays for the first time, how good he was. And that's something that John Dorsey has raved about again and again. So I think John Dorsey hired him because of his play calling.
If Todd Haley didn't do that, he might still be here.
Who knows? Yeah, maybe that was Todd Haley's biggest mistake.
Didn't Freddie do the same thing for Monken?
Yeah, he did. He allowed Monken to call plays. I think he's allowed some other guys to call plays. He wouldn't tell us who, but he did tell us that Todd-Monken did call plays a little bit in the 4th preseason game.
And do we suppose that John Dorsey was taking notes on these guys?
I assume. Well, I even asked Freddie Kitchens about it before the game because it was such a big deal that John Dorsey made about it.
Right. 216-575-0403 if you want to sneak in before the final segment of the show. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Live racing at 6 p.m. with the post time every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And, of course, open every day at least at noon for simulcast action from the great tracks all around the country, all around the world, actually. And you've got free admission, free parking every day. That's at Northfield Park. Dan Labbe and I return one more time. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Dan, let's take a look at this date in Les-Levine history.
Right.
1964, school opens. Les tells friends that he doesn't mind school so much, it's just the principle of the thing.
It's fair.
And for the joke, the spelling is correct on that. This being the last live show of the week, let's go this week in review. Back in 1965, after Les tried unsuccessfully to walk on Ohio State's baseball team, he gets turned down for a second chance. He claims the coach he was not a judge of good talent. The Buckeyes won the '66 NCAA championship for the first and only time in history, but we would have won it faster.
By more.
And by more.
You got his attention.
I got his attention. That's right. Look what he did. Then we continue on. September 4th, 1959, Les sees his first Ohio State football game in Columbus. He was hooked for life. You ever seen a game down there?
I actually haven't.
Oh, come on.
I've gone down for some of the high school stuff down there.
Is it on your bucket list to see a game?
I've got to see a game, yeah.
You got to see it.
Yeah,
Forget the game. You got the halftime.
Just be around it.
Script, Ohio.
Austin Seibert actually on Monday said, he makes it a point to go to like big college stadiums. He actually drove up to Ann Arbor on Saturday to watch the Michigan game. so he knows all. He knows all about the big
fan
environments. Now? I don't know. Well, he went to Oklahoma, so probably not.
How do you think that Urban Meyer felt in the TV studio? I think it was Fox. How do you think he felt when they're showing Ryan Day being handed the reins and so on?
It had to be strange, especially because they played so well, especially so early. They got off to such a great start. And Justin Fields, I mean, Urban Meyer probably looked at Justin Fields and was like,
that's my guy.
I would love to play with have a quarterback like that.
Yeah. All right, let's check out some How Come Quickies sent in. Paul Jacobson, Paul in Finley says, how come the Indians bullpen is like a box of chocolate? It's a Forrest Gump How Come Quickie. Well, you open it up, you don't know what you get till you open it up, right?
All the way down to their closer.
Absolutely. Mitch from Kent says he's got a 1947 birthday, Davenport. All right, we'll take that. How come the interior decorator retired? It was his final curtain. It's pretty good.
I like it.
You like it?
Well done.
How about this one? How come reading an orange juice carton is pulp nonfiction?
So you can tell this guy's from Kent. Only the best.
Are you a Kent guy?
Well, I went to Kent State. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Get that in a moment. Mr. Gullible comes in. He says he just got home from the Indians flop, but he's had a good dinner. Thank you. We're very interested in that. How come when my dad was sick and we couldn't remember his blood type, he kept telling us, be positive? That is so stupid that it wins no matter what happens.
Yeah.
What else? How come atheism is a non-profit organization? I would have quit after the other one.
Yeah, you had a winner
with the
there.
blood type. Be positive. Come on, be positive. John Patrick comes in. How come stores put back pain medication on the bottom shelf? You have to bend over.
It's a ploy to get you to buy more?
Maybe. Yeah, take this one, but be back next week. Take two and call me in the morning. Unbelievable.
It's a good day. Good day for the viewers.
Good day for the viewers. If you missed Monday through Wednesday, you got it here at the end of the show. All right, Dan Labbe is with us. You've predicted 10 wins. Your biggest concern, besides injuries, you can't have injuries. Tonight is a big game. You got Mitchell Trubisky with the Bears going up against Green Bay, going through a change of coaching. Who's going to win that battle, the coach or Aaron Rodgers?
Probably Aaron Rodgers.
Wouldn't you
if
think?
there is a battle. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, right?
Aaron Rodgers.
He outlasted Mike McCarthy. It took him a long time, but he did it. I would think that the quarterback's going to win that matchup.
I would agree with that. Who win? Give me the Super Bowl participants.
So I went with the Chiefs and the Eagles.
Okay.
I feel more confident with the Chiefs than I do the Eagles. But they were so close last year. It was an offsides call away from getting to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Kansas City was. And I think if Carson Wentz is healthy, which is always a big if, that gives the Eagles a really nice quarterback, a guy that was almost an MVP a couple years ago. We saw what they could do with Nick Foles. There's a lot of talent on that roster.
Right.
So I think the Eagles are good enough, but obviously, you said you can't have injuries. Carson Wentz has to stay healthy.
How many teams? How many teams have a legitimate chance to win the whole thing?
Well, the Chiefs, the Patriots, obviously in the AFC side.
Right.
I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody. On the NFC side, you've got the Eagles, the Rams, the Saints. Those would probably be my top five. But
Right.
then, you get into teams like, the Chargers going to be really good. Do the Browns have a legitimate shot? Can the Steelers bounce back? I think there's some kind of if teams, if certain things go the right way. And I'm sure I left out somebody.
That's okay. What do the Browns have to do this Sunday to say, besides win the game? What do they have to do?
Well, they've got to stop the run, right? That was their biggest concern last year defensively, and they're going against a team that can really run the football. So they've got to show that they can stop the run, and they've just got to make sure that Marcus Mariota doesn't beat them. He shouldn't beat you, and they need to make sure he doesn't.
Especially at home. And by the way, the fact they've only won one home game since '99.
Yeah.
When you had such futility, there's a lot of great numbers and facts, and that's one of them. Not great, but strange ones.
Yeah, and you're starting to get to the point where there's guys who were like 5 or 6 years old the last time this team won an opener, which is
unbelievable.
Insane.
Okay, you're looking for a good Sunday afternoon?
I think it'll be a good one. I think the Browns will win. They'll finally start 1-0. They'll have some momentum going into that big Monday night showcase.
Big scoring game?
Not huge. I think Tennessee's defense is good enough that they can keep them in check. Let's say 24-14.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Oh, Browns, right?
Double-digit one, 20. Yeah, Browns.
Okay, we'll take it. Dan, thanks so much for coming by. I know traffic was terrible, and we appreciate you doing whatever you had to do, and just turn in turn in your speeding ticket to HR on your way out the door.
Yeah, will do. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Dan Labbe does a great job with the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. A lot of stuff going on. The Indians and Minnesota Twins this weekend through a big 3-game series. Got to win all 3, and then of course Ohio State in action on Saturday, and we've got the Browns and the Tennessee Titans. We haven't heard much about Jimmy Haslam in Tennessee.
No, we haven't. Maybe that's
He's
a good
still
thing.
from Tennessee, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
The scoreboard still looked like it.
Yeah. How'd they get that one through?
That was incredible. The best thing he's ever pulled off.
Yeah, I guess. You want to call it the best. Okay. All right, that'll do it for us. I'll see you on Monday. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.